You're stuck in traffic. Someone cuts you off without signaling. Your pulse spikes. You grip the wheel. You're about to honk, maybe scream. But then, what if, instead of reacting, you paused and smiled? What if you could take that boiling frustration and cool it, without bottling it up or pretending you don't feel it? In this video, we're diving into 5 powerful Stoic techniques that ancient philosophers used to master their emotions, not by denying anger, but by understanding it. These are tools used by Roman emperors, warriors, and thinkers, still just as useful today. Stick around. What you learn in the next few minutes might change how you handle your next heated moment, for good. Anger is part of being human. We all feel it, sometimes with good reason, sometimes not. But if we're not careful, it can take over, making us say or do things we regret. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't try to suppress emotion by pretending it wasn't there. Instead, they developed tools for facing anger honestly and responding in ways that keep our character intact. If you find yourself losing your temper more often than you'd like, or just want to be more thoughtful in heated moments, Stoicism offers practical methods to help. Here are 5 Stoic techniques you can use to manage anger more effectively. 1. Pause and question the emotion. The Stoics believe that emotions like anger aren't automatic, they come from how we interpret what's happening around us. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, made this point clearly: men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. The event itself isn't inherently insulting, it's your judgment that it was intentional, disrespectful, or dangerous that sparks the anger. This doesn't mean you ignore dangerous behavior, but it does mean your first task is to stop and check your assumptions. Try this. When you feel anger rising, pause and ask, what exactly just happened? Am I adding meaning that might not be there? Is this worth the emotional cost? Sometimes, it is worth responding, especially if someone is being abusive or crossing a line. But even then, reacting from a calmer place gives you more control over how you handle it. This isn't about denying emotion, it's about being skeptical of the first story you tell yourself. That small space between stimulus and response is where your freedom lies. 2. Practice the premeditation of trouble. One core Stoic practice is Premeditatio Malorum, or premeditation of evils. It means imagining what could go wrong before it happens, not in a pessimistic, gloomy way, but as a mental rehearsal for staying composed. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." In other words, expecting that difficult people, setbacks, and misunderstandings will happen helps you handle them better when they arrive. We often get angry because we're caught off guard. But if you start your day reminding yourself that some things will annoy you, you're less likely to be shaken by them. Try this. Before your day begins, think, who might frustrate me today? What situations might go sideways? How do I want to respond when that happens? If you anticipate that a coworker might talk over you in a meeting, for example, you can mentally prepare your response instead of blowing up in the moment. It's not about expecting the worst in people, it's about being realistic about what life often brings. 3. Zoom out, the view from above. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often reflected on the idea of seeing things from a broader perspective. In his meditations, he wrote, "You can rid yourself of many useless things among those that disturb you, for they lie entirely in your imagination." One way he practiced this was through what's called the view from above. Picture yourself rising above the situation. See your life from a bird's eye view, then from the perspective of your city, your country, the world, even the cosmos. It sounds abstract, but the goal is simple: to make the problem feel smaller and less consuming. Try this. When anger strikes, ask, will this matter in a week? A month? A year? How significant is this, really, in the grand scheme of things? Am I letting something small dominate my mind? That snide comment, that traffic delay, that rude email, they might feel enormous up close. But from a distance, most things shrink. You don't need to ignore real problems, but seeing them in context helps you respond with less fire and more reason. 4. Remember what's in your control. This is a cornerstone of Stoic thought. You control your thoughts, choices, and actions. You don't control what others say or do, how people treat you, or random events. When you confuse what's within your power with what isn't, frustration and anger quickly follow. Epictetus emphasized this distinction constantly. One of his most famous lines is, "Some things are up to us and some are not." When someone insults you, for instance, you don't control their words, but you do control how you interpret and respond to them. The Stoics believe that no one can make you angry. Anger comes when you surrender your inner freedom to someone else's behavior. Try this. When you're tempted to react, remind yourself, is this within my control? What can I actually influence here? What reaction reflects the kind of person I want to be? This mindset is especially helpful in recurring conflicts, whether with family, coworkers, or strangers online. It reminds you that your dignity doesn't come from winning or punishing, but from holding the line on your own principles. 5. Channel anger into purposeful action. Stoicism doesn't say you should be passive or accept injustice. But it does say that your response should be guided by reason, not rage. The goal isn't to feel nothing, it's to feel rightly. Seneca, in his essay on anger, made it clear that anger clouds judgment and leads us to act irrationally. That's dangerous, not just for us, but for those around us. So, what do you do when something truly wrong happens? You take that energy and use it to act calmly, wisely, and effectively. Try this. If someone crosses a line, set a boundary without yelling. If a policy or system frustrates you, take steps to address it, write, organize, vote, and advocate. If a recurring problem keeps sparking anger, make a plan to solve or remove it. Don't just stew or explode, channel the feeling into something useful. Think of anger as a signal that something needs your attention, not something that should control you. In conclusion, the Stoics didn't expect perfection. Marcus Aurelius himself admitted to struggling with his temper. What they aimed for was progress, gradually replacing knee-jerk reactions with thoughtful choices. Managing anger isn't about never getting mad. It's about shortening the distance between the emotion and your best self. These 5 techniques can help. Pause and question the emotion. Mentally prepare for trouble. Zoom out and get perspective. Focus on what you control. Turn anger into meaningful action. None of this happens overnight. But every time you pause, reflect, and choose a better response, you're doing the work the Stoics talked about, building character, one moment at a time. In the end, anger is a test. Not of what's happening outside of you, but of how well you know yourself and how much power you're willing to give away. The Stoics show us that it's possible to keep that power and to live with more peace, clarity, and strength. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.